Hey, how's it going? It's Keith Barnes, Apocaflix Movies. This is the movie watching challenge. Music. All right, so this is the movie watching challenge. You guys know what this is. This is where all the guys and I at the channel here at Apocaflix Movies, we challenge each other to watch movies that we haven't seen, and I haven't seen this one. It's a Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
You're so young. Only on the outside.
Challenged by my good buddy Jacob Bartley to this movie, directed by David Fincher. I thought maybe it was the only David Fincher. I'm a big David Fincher guy. If you guys know, if you watch this channel long enough, you know I'm a director's guy, and David Fincher is one of my guys that I love. This is one of the few I haven't seen. I thought maybe this was the only one I hadn't seen, but I haven't seen. Till now, I hadn't seen this. I hadn't seen The Game. It's Michael Douglas. Now I'm mad that I haven't seen that, so I got to go back and watch The Game. And I haven't seen that movie a couple years ago in 2020 called Mank. Which kind of flew under the radar for me. I haven't seen that. We're not talking about those. We're talking about The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Brad Pitt, Kate Blanchett, Taraji P. Henson, a great performance. Mahershala Ali, I had no idea he was in this movie. Julia Ormond in this movie. I mean, Tilda Swinton in a small role. Cast is crazy in this movie. I had no idea that any of these people were in this movie. Came out in 2008, right? And with a budget of $150 million, somewhere $175 million, $336 million at the box office. All right, and it's based on a short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald, who you may recognize as the author of The Great Gatsby. It's one of those authors that unfortunately died not knowing the impact of his work. So it's very sad. But I had no idea this was based on a short story of his from like the New Yorker or one of those magazines, something like that. Based on that short story, Brad Pitt plays Benjamin Button is a man who ages backwards. He's born as a baby, but he's like this little old man baby. Like he's a tiny little old man as a baby. His mother dies in childbirth. His dad kind of was very wealthy, button salesman, owns a button business called Buttons. Sure, what do they call that? Nominative determinism, something like that, where your name is your job is like your name after a job, or your job becomes your name, or your name becomes your job. Whatever, one of those things where you're I don't know how to do it. Nominative determinism. Look that up. That's what that is. Anyway, Buttons, the company he owns. And he freaks out. He sees the baby. No, his mom dies in childbirth. He freaks out, takes the baby out, just runs out into the night. This is set in New Orleans, by the way, New Orleans, Louisiana, which I didn't know. Right at the end of World War I. Like the whole city's celebrating the end of the war. This is the night that this little weird baby's born with this weird condition. But like I said, he takes the baby, the father, Thomas Button, I think is his name. I don't know the actor's name. But he runs out in the night and just drops the baby off at a doorstep of what appears to be kind of a retirement home. It's an old folks' home that's being run by Taraji P. Henson, who plays a character named Queenie. And we see her with Mahershala Ali. Great performances by both of them. Immediately, I'm in. I'm sold. I was already sold. I mean, it's David Fincher, Brad Pitt. Those two have linked up a couple of times. But I'm in on this one. Great performances by small role from Mahershala Ali, but Taraji was a force in this movie. She was so great as a woman who takes this baby in and raises it on her own. She gets to a point where they realize he's aging backwards as he grows. He's a kid, but he's just like this little old man, and he gets a little bit older, and he looks younger each time. They're like, "This is weird." Oh, they notice as he grows older, he's aging backwards. He's getting younger, and for the time in 2008, it's decent. It's decent with the makeup is great. They're nominated for I think they won Oscar for makeup. The movie won 3 Oscars, by the way, for art direction, makeup, and visual effects, and yeah, definitely earned. I do want to mention real quick. Nominated, I think, for 10 Academy Awards. Nominated for Best Picture. Brad Pitt was nominated for Best Actor. Taraji, of course, P. Henson doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, in my opinion, but she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And yeah, she definitely earned that, and she was really great. But yeah, this is a movie. It's a small movie. Oh, I should mention too, this movie is being told in flashback form. The character, what's her name? Was shoot, I don't get her name. Sorry, but anyway, it's Kate Blanchett's character, and she's kind of Daisy. She's telling the story. She's very, very old. She's set in a hospital. Crazy storms going outside. Julia Ormond is her daughter, and she's kind of telling the story. She seems to be in her last, on her deathbed, as we always say. She's kind of nearing the end of her life. She just wants to tell her daughter this story. The whole thing winds up being a reveal of who her father is. But she reads this diary. She asks her daughter to read this diary, that she has with her, and it's the story of Benjamin Button. And it's his diary that he kept throughout his life. And yeah, like I said, this movie, it's weird. It's weird seeing this Brad Pitt playing this sort of old man, but he's a kid. But nobody thinks he's this old man, especially growing up in an old folks home. A lot of people think that he's one of them. He's actually a kid inside. But yeah, this movie's great. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's David Fincher, so it shouldn't be a surprise, but this movie's really, really good, man. This is one of my favorites. A lot of the ones I've been challenged to over the years, this is one where I really came away like, oh, I love this. I thought it was really good. 2008 was a time where I just wasn't able to get out and see a lot of movies at that time. I had little kids. My kids were little, so just wasn't able to go. But yeah, this movie is really great. I love it. And this movie just kind of tells the tale of him being out in the world. It's kind of that's described on Prime Video where I watched it. Fantasy. It's kind of that. Kind of a Forrest Gump type of feel where you're kind of just going through this guy's life. And he travels all around the world. He befriends a little girl, his grandmother, whose grandmother lives in the old folks' home, and she comes to live with her. And it turns out that's Kate Blanchett's character, Daisy. And he, of course, immediately falls in love with her. She goes off to be a dancer and kind of has her own life, and she's not really into him for a lot of it. And then we don't know what happens, but for whatever reason, she comes back into his life, and they just fall in love, have a life together. They kind of meet. You get to the point in the movie where it's Brad Pitt now because he's kind of growing, so he's middle-aged, even though he's kind of like in his 20s or 30s rather. And it gets to a point where he gets into his 40s, but he looks like super young, beautiful Brad Pitt like that we've always known. There may be a little bit of makeup, maybe a little bit in the early days, de-aging technology. I'm not sure. It was very well done. And Kate Blanchett's character is in her 40s, so they're kind of like in the middle. So they got this like not brief, but they have this stretch of time where they're able to be together because they're in their 40s, and he's kind of looking like he's the age he's supposed to be. He doesn't look too old for her or too young. So they make it work. His father reveals himself to him. He apologizes and he feels bad about abandoning him. He leaves him his button company, Buttons. So now he's very, very rich. He winds up prior to that, he serves in World War II in a crazy sequence there. But yeah, throughout he goes back to live in the home with his mom, his adopted mom, Taraji P. Henson as Queenie. And yeah, those scenes are all great. I love the scenes when he goes back home to be with her, and she just loves him so much, and she really the performance. I can't speak enough about her performance. Like just she really believe her as this woman who loves this boy uh, as one of her own. But yeah, like I said, the rest of it's just kind of love story between him and Kate Blanchett. Um, she eventually gets pregnant, um, and he's worried that the baby's going to have the same condition as him. The doctor says, no, baby's fine. And then he's worried that as the baby grows and he continues to age backwards, like he's getting younger and younger, and it's like their kids are, he's going to be a kid while his daughter is also a kid, and he doesn't want that for his child and for his wife, Kate Blanchett. I don't think they ever got married, but Kate Blanchett. Uh, so he decides to leave. Uh, Throughout the movie, by the way, we're jumping back to present day where Kate Blanchett, through I think more makeup and maybe some visual effects, playing an elderly version of herself, and is telling the story to her daughter. Like I said, there's a hurricane outside that seems to be coming. Uh, Big storm. There's a lot of chaos kind of in the hospital. Everybody's prepping for the storm. But so it kind of jumps back and forth between present day and the flashbacks of her telling the story. But yeah, I mean, he leaves and just kind of goes around the world, eventually comes back, and and as he continues to age backwards and backwards, eventually he does turn into a child, and until the end of his life. It's a very sad scene. It just really actually made me go, oh, like a scene when Benjamin Button passes away as a little baby. But it was just really good. Love this movie very much. Like it's just, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. And it turns out, as we jump back to, as that portion of the story is done, we jump back to the present with Kate Blanchett and her daughter, elderly Kate Blanchett, on her deathbed telling the story to her daughter. It turns out they're still in New Orleans, and the story is being told against the backdrop of Hurricane Katrina, because we hear a radio saying that the Ninth Ward is going to flood, the levees have broken, and whatever have you. And then we see, of course, in the basement of the old folks' home, all the stuff that's been collected there over the years. We see the flood waters kind of coming in and raising up. So a surprising ending. I definitely wasn't expecting that, but that was just really good. I was expecting the movie worked. I really enjoyed it. It's long. It's long. There may be some stretches where it does kind of stretch a little, but I can't say enough. Love this movie. So I appreciate my buddy Jacob Bartley challenging me to The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Excellent movie by David Fincher. If you're a fan of his at all, if you haven't seen this movie, I definitely recommend reading it. Reading it. I said reading it because I was thinking about maybe I should read the short story, but I meant to say watching this movie. Maybe read the short story too. I don't know if you can find it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this movie. I loved it. Thank you, Jacob Bartley, for challenging me to this movie. Make sure you tune in to the next episode. I don't know when this is going to come out, but if it hasn't come out before Tuesday, March 14th, make sure you tune in to Apocaflix now. You can watch it on replay if you want to know who I'm challenging next. That's how we do our movie watching challenge. I'm going to challenge. It's a spoiler alert. I'm probably going to challenge my buddy Brian because he's got so many movies he hasn't seen. I haven't challenged him in a while. So make sure you tune in to see which movie he gets challenged to. And that's it. That's my thoughts. That's movie watching challenge. My name is Keith Barnes. Here's the ending music. Thanks a lot for tuning in. See you next time.